God claims are incomprehensible and contradictory. Therefore, I cannot believe in God. Theological noncognitivism, also known as igtheism, is the philosophical stance that since God can't be clearly defined and the claims about God are paradoxical in nature, it is not worth arguing about God's existence, let alone believing in one. There are numerous contradictions in God's nature when asking believers about him, and different theologians and apologists will greatly vary in their conceptions about God. For instance, a while back, Pope Francis made a comment about atheism in the act of spiritual redemption. The Lord has redeemed all of us, with the blood of Christ, all of us. Not just Catholics, everyone. Father, the atheists? Yes, even the atheists. Since the Pope is considered to be the figurehead of the Catholic Church and is said to speak directly with God, one would think that Catholics would have no choice but to agree with him. However, immediately after the Huffington Post reported on the Pope's comments, there was a backlash from the Catholic community, including an article on CatholicVote.org in which a Catholic blogger had to clear up what the Pope really meant. Could Pope Francis have been a little clearer on what he was trying to say? Sure, that's the risk of delivering off-the-cuff sermons. The real fault, I think, lies with the theologically illiterate press, whose understanding of basic Catholic doctrine is so infinitesimal that it is increasingly unable to report on the Catholic Church without completely embarrassing itself. But how can this blogger claim to be more knowledgeable in regards to theology and God than the Pope? And additionally, how is the general public supposed to know whether the Pope was just expressing his personal opinion, or if his comments about non-believers really were the dictates of God? If these comments are open to debate, can we really claim that they were beamed into the mind of the Pope from God? Personally, I really don't care what the Pope has to say, because religion is based heavily on speculation and personal interpretation. Since it is so open to personal bias, why is it worth discussing on a logical and rational level, especially when evidence for these claims are nothing more than testimonies? That's why, when you see debates between apologists and scientists, such as the Bill Nye-Ken Ham debate, you don't necessarily see the scientist making the assertion that there is no God. They feel that the world and existence can be described by demonstrable evidence and that the creationist positions are not cogent with reality. These scientists would prefer to rather not even discuss God, but are forced to when creationists invent pseudo-scientific claims about how the world exists as the Bible or the Quran describes it. William Lane Craig has spoken extensively on how God predates and existed outside of space and time. Here's an excerpt from his website, reasonablefaith.org. If atheists say that the universe is all of time and space, ask them how they know that. Maybe God existed prior to his creating the universe. Are they begging the question by assuming that the universe is all there is? If they say that time cannot exist without space, then point out to them that even a sequence of mental events, thoughts passing in succession, is sufficient enough before or after sequence and hence time. If God has a stream of consciousness, then there would exist time prior to the beginning of the universe. So what's the problem? See, apologetic arguments are difficult to pick apart because of how vague they are. Additionally, Craig doesn't really prove that God existed outside of space-time. Rather, he says it could be possible. That doesn't prove anything more than that postulation. The other problem is that humans exist primarily in a model of reality that relies on space and time. We haven't necessarily lived without either concept. They're fundamental to our model of reality and are utilized by physicists to expand our understanding of the universe. By asserting that something exists outside of space or before space, it is impossible to add it to our understanding of reality since it cannot exist in a model that utilizes space-time, a model that weaves space and time together into one continuum. We simply don't have enough knowledge about the universe before space-time to make these claims. Plus, space-time and relativity are utilized so immensely in our world that it would take a vast understanding of science to understand what reality was like before space or time existed. Without this evidence, Craig simply posits a complex God that can order concepts before time. This God concept can only be added to what we know about non-reality or non-space-time, which makes it nothing more than a guess. Additionally, we are learning more and more about how the universe may have started, and that time or space may not be the best words to describe it. Of course, this is all speculation, and the theological non-cognitivist finds it a time-wasting avenue of thought, since we can't accurately describe God and how he existed before space-time. Not to mention that Craig can make the claims that he does because, like the Pope, this information was revealed to him by God. So what's the difference between revelation and learning something Normally, there are many more contradictions in God's nature, and I hope to talk more about this in upcoming videos. I want to explore the megachurch movement as well. So much about the universe is glossed over and simplified down to God did it, despite the fact that the megachurches rarely explain what God is, and it is my aim to understand why humans want to waste time and resources for something that can't necessarily be expressed.